So they did the walkthrough on my AOG case. One of the things I showed was I have this Husky. It's actually meant to be a pouch you wear on your belt. Originally had a belt loop, and I cut all that off and used studs to actually attach self-stick Velcro, but I know the Velcro is going to come off at some point, so attach that to the back. I like this case just because it's got plastic in here that actually keeps it very, very rigid in its design. So anything you have inside of it keeps it from being crushed. So this is my actual setup for a multimeter. Now, the biggest thing you're ever going to use, from what I've found, is you're going to use your volts, every now and then volts AC, possibly on airliners you might use more. Ohms, most definitely. Diode check is really nice when you can't see, or for checking diodes. I mean, this one actually is the one for when you can't see, but you can hear when there's a continuity. It will make a noise when it's switched to that. When you touch, if you touch the two probes together, it'll make a beep. Battery load, I've never really used. This other DC amps, maybe a couple times in my 30 years of chasing sparks on airplanes. But big thing is I wanted auto ranging. I had a nice Fluke. It got smashed carrying it around in a bag. So I went with this Innova. I got it at Walmart, literally, I think it was on clearance for like 25 bucks in the automotive section. I have a couple of them, and I have not been able to kill them. They work great. The battery lasts a long time. They have a nice little stand that you can pop out if you want to stand it up so that you can see while you get your hands down inside a hole somewhere chasing wires. It works really nice. You know, I turn it off. I've had sometimes the display has come up wonky, and I'll just shut it off, turn it back on, and it comes back. For probes, obviously you want your normal, you know, they get the banana plug on the end, and you get your pin probes here for sticking on things, poking into whatever. Those have a nice length to them. And then I always carry these jumper leads. They just have alligator clips on the end, the red and the black one. I was just using one today to verify that it wasn't a bad ground wire. It was actually a bad relay. And then the other one, and this is the one that definitely is worth it, I think. These also have the banana plugs. They plug right into the meter. But what they are really good for is they have a couple varieties. They're stiff. They have like normal jaws on the end, which are good for grabbing onto like a stud or a screw, something like that. But you see those pins right there, the round part with a whole bunch of pins? It's called a bed of nails. That bed of nails will pierce through the insulation on a wire without damaging it and allow you to read voltage. Now, usually I find I clamp it on and then I have to give the tip a squeeze to really get a good reading, but that will read through normal aircraft wire. The gauge is like, you know, 20, 22, 18, 16. You don't want to use it unshielded, obviously, because you'll be messing things up on the side of the wire. But the unshielded wires, they're actually a really great tool when you can't get to the ends of a wire. You just want to check for voltage or ground. And then they have the spike one. That's more for like battery cables and stuff. I don't know if I've ever used that, but that bed of nails right there will save you a ton of headaches. Now, I got these on Amazon. They're not quite as long as that set. They're about half the length. I think maybe they have like a 1 foot lead, 16 inch, 18 inch lead, I don't know, something like that. The other ones are probably like 36 inch. I probably could buy longer, but I have never really found where that's been too much of a limiting factor. But these bed and nails ones are absolutely worth it. Plus, it's really nice just for troubleshooting. Like, you can clip that onto a screw and then put the regular one on the other side and use that to probe around. Well, you know, this one is connected to a good ground and you don't have to hold it. So that's what I use. 30 years. This is what I've ended up with. Kind of minimal, but it works very well. I do have a nice Fluke meter back in my box in the hangar for avionics stuff, and It has been calibrated at different times, but for day-to-day, just making sure you got voltage, making sure you got ground, making sure you got continuity, making sure your diodes are good. Really, you don't have to go high tech. Now, if you're a student like at A&P school and you've got the discount from Snap-on or whatever, yeah, go for a Fluke. Absolutely. I think it's worth it. Some of them even have temperature probes you can plug in. Those are nice, especially these days where you got pitot mass and things like that. You might want to have that capability to check temperatures. You'll find a lot of employers won't necessarily calibrate it, but what I always done at places that cared about that is just put a label on here that says for reference only. And you know, if I'm actually like signing something off using the meter, okay, now I'll go get a calibrated one from my employer. But for, you know, is the light bulb good or bad, I don't need a calibrated meter for that unless the shop decides that's a huge deal. Some repair stations, some airlines will have that policy. Most places I've worked, it really didn't matter, as long as I had access to a calibrated one for return to service type sign-offs. But there you go. And you know, like I said, I think I paid 25 bucks. The old Craftsman ones are good. I don't know necessarily about off-brand ones these days. Craftsman used to be good. I've seen some Craftsmans that weren't so good. I've seen some Snap-ons, believe it or not, that did not work out very well. If you're going to spend the money, buy a Fluke. Fluke has the name in the industry for a reason. I'm not endorsed by them. I'm not paid by them. I've actually paid them money, but I can depend on the products that they have, and you'll find almost every shop that has a calibrated meter has a Fluke. There's a reason.